Hello and welcome to the webinar Everyday Values for Everyday People. Today we're talking about defining our financial visions. This is Todd Christensen, Director of Education at the National Financial Education Center at Debt Reduction Services, Inc., author of Everyday Money for Everyday People. So just a very brief background on who we are, what we do. Debt Reduction Services is a nonprofit credit counseling agency. We're based in Boise, Idaho, with a national footprint from Anchorage, an office in Anchorage all the way out to Long Island, and serving virtually all of the U.S. We've been around since 1996. Our focus is financial education. We do help people who need some assistance paying off their debts dollar for dollar. That's what we do. Okay, so what we're going to go through today, this is the way we do all these webinars. We're going to go through the principle, financial principle, and then we'll give an example, go through some techniques, provide some time for some hands-on, and then provide a follow-up activity. So to begin with, I want to make sure that this is understood. Financial success is what we're talking about today. It is a journey, not a destination. You know, there's a lot of people that might obsess over finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's two things that are going to happen. One, they'll either end up standing alone in an empty field out in the middle of nowhere with nothing to show for it, probably all wet from the rain. Or two, they'll miss the absolute beauty and majesty of the rainbows in our life. So what are some of the rainbows in life that can bring, or some of the storms in life that can bring these rainbows afterwards? They can be things like a fresh start after a bankruptcy that was coming, that may have been years in coming. They may have been the freedom from restrictive relationships. Perhaps we lost one job, but are later able to find an even better one. Maybe starting a business that fails, but learning some lessons to use in our next opportunity. Of course, financial success can also just be the journey itself. I like to say that it is not an income. Financial success is not an income. A lot of people will say, well, I have to, once I'm earning $100,000 a year, I'll be successful. Others will say, you know, it's just a treasure to find. It's not a treasure to find. It's not winning a lottery. It's not inheriting wealth. In fact, in my book, financial success is not even wealth to build. It's not an amount that we need to amass. It's not even a lifestyle. You know, some people won't feel successful until they are driving a certain kind of a vehicle or living in a certain size of a home. In fact, financial success is not defined by anyone other than ourselves. Here's essentially the questions we have to answer if we want to determine what financial success is. One, where are we headed? Where do we want to go? Where in life do we want to be in 5 or 10 or 15 years or more? And how are we getting there? And are there certain people that we want to share this journey with? You know, what are the relationships that are going to be involved? So when I talk about a financial vision, and let me give you first the passcode here. In order to get credit for this course, you will need to complete the quiz that corresponds to it. And during the quiz, it's going to ask you for 3 passcodes. This is the first of 3 passcodes. Please write it down. Keep track of it. Go ahead and pause this webinar if you need to get a pen and paper. But it is ELEMENT, E-L-E-M-E-N-T, ELEMENT. Okay, so when we talk about the financial vision, what our life is going to be like in a few years, I'm not talking about details. It should not be a specific, involve any specifics. We'll get to specifics when we talk about goals. It does not involve an amount of money. A financial vision essentially involves what your life will be like. It's going to be pretty general. Let me give you an example. When I think about my financial vision, I think of that it involves family. It involves somehow it involves the coast. I love, my wife and I love the Oregon coast. We love the coolness there and the rainy and overcast days, the ocean. We just love the coast. But that doesn't mean that I have to live there. But it involves somehow in the future, it involves the Oregon coast or Northern California or even Washington coast or even British Columbia, who knows. But it also involves our future, when I envision it, involves serving others, being able to do some volunteer work here in our community, locally, regionally, and even internationally. And so when I say a financial vision, make sure you keep it general. Don't tie it to specific locations, to specific timelines. So what does your financial future, what does it entail? You notice I didn't include any amounts. This is how much I'm going to have for this or that or the other. Keep it very general. What do you want in your future that is going to require some financial resources? Each of these three things in my financial vision will require some sort of amount of money at some point. We're not going to talk about that right now. So what I'd like you to do is close your eyes, and I'd like you to picture your first week of retirement, whenever, wherever that may be. Could be next week, could be 40 years from now, but think about being in retirement and consider these questions. What do you most want to do in this life that will require some amount of money? And once you've got that in mind, answer this question. Can you picture yourself doing it day after day after day after day after day? The reason I ask that is because so many people will get to retirement thinking this is what I want out of life because it's their dream, and after about a week or two of living that dream, they realize, you know what, this is not at all what I want to do every day. And so make sure that it's not something that you will tire of, that it's got to be something meaningful to you. And then, again, another question, what is it that you never want to do again in your life? Is there any experience that you never want to have? Any, what is it that you don't want involved in your life? So now that you've thought about that, I'd like you to think about completing these statements, and in your own words. Now, if you need to, I would again suggest that you pause this and so you can look at these questions. They are in our handouts that will be available also through the same website. But answer the questions. Eventually, I'd like to be in a financial position to afford to do what, or to be what? 2, once my financial vision becomes reality, I still want to be able to, or I still want to do this, or I still want to have that, I still want to go here or there. What do you still want to be able to do once your financial vision is achieved? And then 3, what is it that you no longer ever want to have to do or be able to do or need to do? Answer those 3 questions. Write them down, and that will become the basis for your financial vision. So here's your follow-up assignment. Once you've got those questions in mind, think about them. Don't have to do this. You don't have to do this today, right now. Think about it. Keep those questions and your answers around handy and visible for the next week or so. If you're married, talk about your answers. Talk about the answers of your spouse. And in a week or two, sit down and develop your financial vision. Now, by developing it, I'm not talking about writing very much out. It's not this written statement necessarily. It can be, but keep it simple. Again, just it can be a visual financial vision. I mean, it is a vision after all. It can involve pictures. Just find some pictures of, for example, of places you want to visit or people that you want to be involved in your financial future. Put them together, make a copy, post it somewhere. Write a few words down in a diary or in a journal. Whatever you do, however you want to do it. You might even put it on your computer or on your phone or tablet as a wallpaper. Put it somewhere where you'll see it regularly, so you are reminded of what you want your financial vision future to look like. And then keep in mind this saying that it's attributed to Helen Keller. The most pathetic person in the world is someone who has sight but no vision. Make sure that even if you have the ability to do much of what you want now, is that what you want always? Are you heading anywhere, or do you have direction in your life? And that's really what your financial vision is. Okay, so here's passcode number 2. The word is daily. Write it down, daily, D-A-I-L-Y. Okay, so now let's talk a little more of the specifics. Once we've got this general financial vision going, we want to move from the general to the specific. And that's where financial goals come in. Financial goals are the steps that we have to take in order to achieve or realize that financial vision. They are detailed, they are specific, they are measurable. Without breaking our financial vision down into goals, sometimes that vision, or often that vision, would remain too fuzzy and too general to actually reach or accomplish. So goals are the footsteps, or they form the stairway that we want in our life, that we want our life to be like. So let's talk about some of the specifics, or an example. So here's a vague financial goal. During my retirement, I want to take 10 trips to impoverished countries to help improve the lives of those in poverty. That sounds noble. It sounds very like a really great goal to a lot of people, but it's not very specific. About the only specifics is it has a number of trips and it has a general, in retirement. When we're talking about a financial goal, let's make it better. So let's add some money that we're going to need. I will need $100,000 by the time I retire and here's the time frame, 2036, for example, in order to take those 10 trips to impoverished countries to provide humanitarian assistance and help. Now, if we want to make that even better, that still is so far out there, it's really more of a vision, even though it has some specifics. If we want to be if we want to create a financial goal that actually helps us make steps toward fulfilling or reaching or realizing our financial vision, financial goal needs to be broken down into smaller steps. By next May, I will be contributing 3% of my paychecks to my 401k to take full advantage of my employer's matching contribution in order to have that $100,000 for those 10 humanitarian trips that I want to take during my retirement to provide humanitarian assistance and so forth. So be specific and then break it down into something that's much more short term. How soon are you going to start on this goal? How much is that going to involve? This one had a percentage. It can you may even want to consider a very specific amount per paycheck that is going to be going into your fund, your goal fund or your vision fund. So goals are the specific things. So when it comes to goals, they do have to be specific. We talked about that. What is it that you want to achieve? Measurable. When you use a specific goal, or when you specify what it is you want to do, make sure that it is something that you can measure. You want to have $100,000. Well, if you're at $10,000, you're 1/10 of the way there. If you just say, I need a lot of money to take this trip, that's not going to do any good when it comes to measuring it. Well, how much is a lot? So make sure it's an amount that you can measure, or it's a time frame that you can measure, a deadline. I need to start by May. Well, it is now April 30th. are we close? Are we going to be able to start by that time frame? Attainable. And as I go through this, many of you will recognize this as being SMART goals. SMART goals have been around for quite a while now, and they actually have quite a few different variations on what each of the letters stand for. But these are the versions that I choose to use when I talk about financial goals. So the A of SMART goals is attainable. Is it something that is attainable? There is something to be said for stretching and pushing ourselves, the reaching for the stars, but maybe or shooting for the moon, but ending up in the stars. That's great. It's a beautiful thought. When it comes to finances, it needs to be attainable as well. You need to think about, is this something that in my current projection, is it something I can achieve? 3, is it relevant? Make sure that those goals that we set are really relevant to what we want in our financial vision. And that's where some people, there are people that will set various financial goals, and yet if you ask them what they want their future to look like, it's nothing, they're not related. There is no connection between the two. Their financial goal is short-term, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's specific, but it really doesn't relate to what they want out of life, and it's not meaningful. So, so make sure it's relevant to your financial vision. And then the T is time-bound. Make sure that you set a time frame when you want to achieve that goal. And I would suggest that it be fairly, as far as goals, that it be within the next 12 months or less. If it's too large, and this goes back to attainable, if we're talking that the financial goal is something that you're going to need tens of thousands of dollars for, then it is no longer relevant. We can't relate to it. And if it's something that is years and years and years down the road, again, we don't relate to that long term. So let's make sure that it is short term, 12 months or less, these goals are, and that they're probably, I'm going to suggest, somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 or less. So to help set up these goals, here are the questions. Answer, what is it, by when, how much you're going to need, how much monthly does that break down to? Okay, so this will help us also create some spending plans that will help us get to reach those goals. And keep this in mind. An unwritten goal remains an unfulfilled wish. If you don't write it down, if you just think, oh, this is what I want, well, it just stays a wish. And while wishes may come true in fairy tales, in reality, the way you get what you want is to write that wish down, and now you have a goal that you can work toward. And I've heard others say things like goals or dreams without deadlines. That was Diana Scharf Hunt. She's the author of How Time Studying Smart. Used that one. And they're all the same sort of idea. If it's not somewhere that we can see it, if we haven't taken the time to write it down, it's just not going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen according to our time frame or our desires. Okay, so here's passcode number 3. The word is play. P-L-A-Y. Play. Okay, so let's talk about hands-on again. There are 3 important steps if we want to achieve our financial vision. Okay, you're the one that has to decide what those 3 steps are. So you're going to want to have at least 3 goals written down that are going to get you to that financial vision. As I mentioned, those 3 goals need to be within a year, and they need to be less than $1,000. But write down at least 3 of them. Once you achieve one, continue making sure. If it's something that you have to do over and over and over, keep it your goal until it becomes a habit, and then move on to another goal that will continue to move you towards your realizing your financial vision. Now, take your goals transfer them, write them down on something, maybe a business card-sized piece of paper that you can carry with you in your wallet or in your put in your purse, or post it somewhere where you can see it on a mirror in your bathroom or on your refrigerator. Once you transfer it, once you write it down, that's important. There's 3 big steps in actually ensuring that these goals are met. And if you do these 3 steps, this will actually improve your chances of completing these goals by about 30%. So write them down, put them on a piece of paper where you can see them, look at them regularly. Number 2, decide upon someone in your life that you're going to share those goals with. It should be someone, of course, that you trust. It can be done in person. I typically suggest that spouse is great to start with. You want somebody outside of your household finances. A spouse is great, like I say, but if you got household finances that you're sharing together, it becomes a little too easy sometimes to work together also in the opposite direction of which you want to head. So another family member outside of your home, a very close friend. It can be done online. I know some people will blog their goals, put them online for everybody to see, or share on a Facebook or other social media. That's okay as well, but make sure that you're able to fulfill this 3rd step in being able to report to that individual each week at least. Again, if it's a family member or a friend, let it be somebody that you'll either see each week, or that you have a telephone conversation with each week, and ask them, hey, I'd like to see if you would be my support. Can I share some of my financial goals with you that I want to achieve, and I need support to achieve those goals? Are you okay with me reporting to you, or would you please ask me every time we run into each other? Please ask me how I'm doing. Don't give me a hard time about it, but just follow up with me. If we will do that, if we will write it down, if we will share our goals, and if we report them, then we become more accountable. We are actually 30% more likely to actually achieve those goals. So that is the end of this presentation, this webinar. This is the first of a series of 8 in our Everyday Money for Everyday People webinars. I highly suggest that you consider moving on or completing the other 7 webinars in that series. We also have several other workshop series available. Check out our email or our website, debtreductionservices.org. If you want to go to the education page there, or you can look at our blog, oureverydaymoney.wordpress.com, to find more information on those. Thank you for joining me, and look forward to having you join me again in the next webinar.